been a few months, I think, since I last recorded a video, and so I'm trying new things now. As I said from the get go, this channel is more for my therapy than anything. So I only record whenever I feel like I need to comment on something. There's been times when I wanted to comment on something, but then I just couldn't care less. At the end of the day, I didn't care enough. Like the Tate brothers and their nonsense, um, impeachment one, two, three, and four for Trump. The the next impeachment for presumably incoming impeachment for Biden, but I care to a degree, and maybe eventually we'll talk about it. The war in Ukraine, another thing I don't give a shit enough, nearly enough. So this video is mostly because I was talking to a friend the other day after posting what's his YouTube channel, Survive the Jive. He made um, a video debunking BBC fucking horrible black history rewriting of British history. Like they go around saying that the essentially blacks, which in English means Sub-Saharan Africans, built Stone Age, which is factually true, is retarded. Go Google the video. Horrible history and BBC, you should find easy enough. There have been plenty of videos to debunk the nonsense, so I'm not gonna delve into it too. But me and my friend, he asked a question that sounds easy, but is a bit require a bit more of work to answer it. It's not just a simple. There's nothing easy about this. And he asked essentially, why are they trying to rewrite history? Why history revisionism is so important for them? And then there's some because it's first of all it's socialist 101. Stalin first, Lenin after. As soon as they got in power, the first thing they did was rewrite history. But that's happened in every grab for power. After you get in power, you erase or damned or condemned whoever came before you. We've seen that in Roman history, in the Greeks, in China especially. That was even more brutal, maybe. So whenever someone gets in power, you have to change the history that came before. So now, in the era we live today of you know smartphones and internet, you cannot come in power and change something overnight. You have to slowly change the narrative to make it make sense eventually, and that's what they're doing. But this is an aspect of a larger design. This is like things that I figure. I have notes for once. Things that are elements of this bigger design. I separate at least in 8 different um, section. I'm not gonna do a deep dive in all of them. I'm gonna just briefly mention all of them and how, in my opinion, they combine together. None of this is this is not conspiracy theories nonsense. This is more things that we have and how I think they fit into that design. They wrote books about it. I mean, Klaus Schwab and his cadre of fucking sycophants, they wrote books about it. They have interview about it. They cannot stop fucking talking about it. how they wanted to implement a big reset and have us basically go back to the Middle Age, where we peons are are the serf and they are in power. They already have rules for them and rules for us. When they go around proclaiming that we should limit our carbon emission, and then they fly private jet, which is ridiculous. Look at Davos. These are all facts. It's not something I need to dwell with. If you want to Google it, fucking Google it. I don't give a shit. But anyway, this is more an answer for my friend. For my friend. So, the point, all these sections, I'd rather say, are are how can I explain it? Let's say that if I give you an onion, you're not gonna eat it as it is. If I give you garlic, you're not gonna eat it as it is. If I give you a glass of oil, you're not gonna do much with it. You're not gonna drink it, are you? But if you put those things together, you can make a nice recipe. You can add a little bit of herbs and drop it on pasta, and you're done. I mean, you understand what I mean, right? So, like in a recipe, in a food recipe, in a cooking recipe, um, the the value of 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 the combined elements is higher than the single element. So, although they might make sense by itself, my grandfather was really like raw onions for whatever reason. I rather have them with some tomato sauce and pasta and some bacon, pancetta rather. But you get a gist. So those are the 8 section I figure out that are part of this design, the elements that are required in a sense. So they are mass migration, which is required to replace us, because for whatever apparently, well, all these things, they don't make sense if you in this conversation unless you see them connected to what comes after. For example, mass migration, it's meant to replace us Western, us Europeans and North Americans with African population. Why? Well, because we are not. I guess there we are not as easily they are not. We are not easily controllable as Africans. I guess they proved they've been under the domain or one or another European power for the last what 600 years, give or take, or North African powers. I mean, the Caliphate first and the Ottomans, they rule plenty of area. So we have to be replaced. How you replace that? Well, you cannot do that unless you have a dwindling population of local population. And how you attain that? Well, you go with point number another point, which is feminism, or feminism and the woke ideology, which are connected. Convinced, usher in the area of promiscuity, which, don't get me wrong, I fully appreciated it when I was younger, but likewise appreciated doing tons of drugs and alcohol. That doesn't mean it was a good idea, was it? But through ushering the they convince women that being free and being promiscuous were the same thing. Instead of being going from, oh, now you're free to choose whoever you want to date, to get away from fucking arranged marriages and all that kind of nonsense. They are still going on in Asia, in the Middle East, in Africa, and yet feminists complain about us for whatever reason. But they convince women that instead of their power in choosing whoever you want, your power lies in fucking whoever moves you want, and who cares about the repercussion of it. But that comes with a price, because the moment you are not, you don't have to devote yourself to one person, you don't have to, how you say that, to embrace monogamy, to have access to sex, which eventually will naturally eventually lead to offsprings. All of a sudden you have a dwindling population. Look at the birth rate in any European country. We are fucked. So you have mass migration to replenish what you don't have, which is future controllable worker. And another aspect you have is rewriting history, which is the video we're talking about. So you write history in a way that, for example, having Anne Boleyn being portrayed by a black woman, a 1600, 1700, no, 18th, 17th century woman, British woman being black, that doesn't make sense. Or Cleopatra being black, she was fucking Greek. So on and so forth. There's the Vikings being black. This is fucking nonsense going around now. So they need to rewrite history. So when this witch goes full circle, and there's basically no more whites, history looks like them. This is part of it. Another point that this is connected to is, and this is more related to make the population docile, is related to all the something we do because we are stupid, and this is multifaceted. There's a number of points in this regarding, which is one, the services, things like for entertainment, for example, like Netflix, YouTube, sorry, Prime Video, Steam for video games, the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Store, all our entertainment event switch slowly from a physical media you have in your hand. My generation was cassette, and then and vinyl, whatever. And then then came the CD, and after the CD, well, when internet came around, we celebrated the ability to have digital files. It was a great development for us. I mean, I can have my CDs, my CD collection in a freaking pen drive. Awesome. I don't know how many. I have plenty of albums in the pen drive I keep in my car. But that comes with a price, because at the time we still have our physical disc. But now everything is behind a paid service. So what happened when tomorrow the government decided, you know what, I don't like Bon Jovi anymore, so Bon Jovi is off the list. You cannot listen Bon Jovi anymore. I don't like Casablanca. Casablanca has been fucking edited and retroactively removed smoking in the movie. What? That's revisionism. That's a horrible thing. So our movies, our I remember Starbucks. Sorry, Blockbuster. I remember Blockbuster. When you go, you rent a tape, and then eventually was you rent DVDs. And now you only have Netflix and Prime Video. What happened when Netflix doesn't want a movie anymore? It's gone. You don't have access to it anymore. You don't have the thing you want. Amazon Prime, same thing for video, or for if you have books on Kindles. Once they remove it, it's gone. You cannot read that book anymore, or they can edit the book according to 10 years time new sensibility. That doesn't make sense for us. Does if you want to control people, if you want to control how they think and what what you do in your free time, greatly define what you do in your own time, in your working time, your ability to think, what media you digest, what you read, what you listen to, has a big impact. If you listen to let's say traditional pop music, I don't know who's on now, and Sheridan or that girl Tyler Swift, all this pop song, you're more likely follow mainstream. So you means you follow mainstream ideas, you follow listen mainstream music, you watch mainstream movies. So you probably watch Barbie, you listen to Taylor Swift, you listen to Pink, and you watch Disney Plus. So you follow whatever narrative the power that be give you. But slowly, if you don't, slowly they will try to force you out, and they can do it softly by removing first your ability to have access to the content you like. And we saw it now with Russell Brand, because has been talking against the power that be for months and months and months. Now all of a sudden someone from fucking 20 years ago decided he, he molested her or raped her or whatever the fuck it is. The rape is the only allegation you can just throw out without proof, without evidence, without nothing. 10 years, 20 years, fucking 50 years after the event, no, and everybody's cool with that. It doesn't make sense. So eventually you can lose access to your entertainment, but that doesn't stop there, does it? Because we know they are pushing to have a digital currency. Now, digital currency by itself doesn't sound too bad, does it? Until you realize that if you have a digital currency, the government can and will eventually. We've seen it. I mean, you just need to look at China to see these things happen when they have all this system implemented already. They fucking already have all this shit I'm talking about. They not only can bar you from accessing your money, they and even if they don't reach that point yet, they can just decide what you can and you cannot spend your money on. And they're connected to your social credit, because you cannot have one without the other. I mean, once you have a social credit that establish how good of a citizen you are, then allow you different tier of access to what you can spend your money and your on, both in terms of goods and services. If you have a high social credit score, you can spend it on whatever you want. If you have a low social credit score, then oh shit, you can only buy the bare minimum. You cannot take a plane anymore. Fuck planes. You can only travel by train. You're not gonna fly anymore. You are not a good citizen, so you deserve the top tier service. You're only gonna get the train or the bus. You want to rent an electric vehicle, another point, something that they give away for convenience. And they're pushing to have no private car by 2050, I think, was it? Something like that. So, and now you cannot even rent a car. So if I have to go from A to B, and I my which would be my case, given how as an anarchist I'm never gonna I'll never get along with any government, so my credit score is gonna be shit by default. So what if I cannot rent a car? I have to walk, because some things you have to walk. You cannot. You have to travel. You have to travel. It's not. Imagine I have to go to a hospital, and it's not the one near me doesn't offer the service that I need. I have to go from the other side of town. I have to walk maybe 2 hours. Well, if your credit score is not good enough, you walk. And this is applied to everything, not just vehicles or services, but food. I I heard recently, and which actually surprised me, that even here in Italy, new apartments, brandly new constructed, they don't have proper kitchen. They have more like, how to describe it? Essentially, a small area where there's only a small oven and a microwave, essentially to warm up stuff, so they can push services like Just Eat, Deliveroo, that kind of stuff. So you're not even free to cook for yourself anymore. You have to buy from outside, because if you cook for yourself, the government cannot tell you what you're gonna eat. Especially given they're pushing for this disgusting idea of eating insects and going vegans and all this bullshit for the planet. So, and all of this is all connected, so that you have this is all connected to, as part of a design, to a big plan to have power and control over us. They want to go back to essentially the feudal state, when the rich and powerful can do whatever the fuck they want, and the plebs just suck it up, because they don't have neither power nor choice. And when you don't have neither, you just shut up and listen, because what you gonna do? You're gonna revolt in Europe. They removed all the weapons about decades ago. They cloned us decades ago. How many people nowadays, even in Italy, when my generation had mandatory military service, how many fucking people know how to use a rifle? Not many. That was by this design as well. The Americans, the only one that's still trying desperately to stay afloat, I guess, and only because they have the Second Amendment that guarantee the right to bear arms, and they've been fighting to remove it for since forever. Ask yourself why. And to to those that will say they will copy fucking Biden's, oh, you cannot fight F-15 with rifles. Yeah, tell that to the Taliban. Bunch of goat herders with AKs and weapons that are fucking from the USSR. They 20 years later they won. We run away, and they're still in power. So yes, you can fight jets with rifles. Well, not directly, but you can win anyway. Or the North Vietnamese, they did the same. We carpet bombed Vietnam with everything we got. They still won. The scene from the retreat from Saigon, and in the 70s, and the retreat from Kabul, Kabul 2 years ago, they are eerily similar. But anyway, that's another story. So, to make it things short, we have been running for almost half an hour. So the aspect identified as part of this project are the mass migration, a social credit slash carbon tax score, which are they are interchangeable. They can use one, name one and use the other, but they're the fucking same. Food shortages, because once if the state, if the government's the only one that have access and can provide you with food, they control your life. We've seen the food line, my generation again. I remember Soviet Russia, the line for food and all that stuff, fucking disgusting. I don't understand, but I know why they don't teach this shit in school, because they don't want you to know the future. They want you to say that you're a proud communist, even though you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So, food shortages, services like Netflix, Amazon, uh, video games, movies, music, everything is in streaming nowadays. You don't have your physical media anymore. That's why I insist on buying only hardcover books, because it's in my fucking hand. You cannot edit it afterward. Electric vehicle. This is something I made a video about it around the beginning of this channel. How we gave away our ability to have our own vehicle, and they're pushing that way, and eventually we get there in many different ways. It's not just the convenience of it, and I see it in my neighbor when they're doing some renovation for public utilities to better the flow of traffic, where they're basically removing parking slots by the dozen. They were pushing to have people have these services, so where you go and car share, when you go with your app on your phone, unlock the car, drive wherever you have to arrive, lock it, walk away, not your problem anymore. And you don't have to worry about gas, you don't have to worry about insurance. There are cars, there are scooters, there are, how's it called in English? The patinettes in my girlfriend call it. It's the small thing anyway. There are bicycles, the different vehicle where you go there, just unlock it for convenience sake, go wherever you have to go, and just drop it and be gone. Until you don't have your own car anymore, or your vehicle anymore. And what if, again, connected to a social credit score, you're not a good citizen, you cannot use those services, you gotta walk. And then food and cooking, which I mentioned, where they want to have everyone buy food from outside. So again, connected to social credit score. Because if it's not social credit, it's gonna be the carbon tax. Oh, your carbon footprint is too high, so you need to eat more of this instead of that, or you cannot buy this, you have to buy that. Digital currency, and that's gonna be how they enforce your access to what the government wants you to. And finally, the writing of history, which is necessary for the mass migration and the woke agenda. But all of this is all about essentially going back to basically becoming China. All of this is already part of China everyday life. The only thing they don't have yet is the ability to cook food yet. But from what I heard, the Chinese are slowly moving to where they used to have the culture of eating at home as a sacred, like very much like Italians, where eating at home in family was very important. Is slowly moving toward eating out, very much like Americans. So they're slowly going there anyway. And so yeah, 3, 6, 8, 9 with the Vogue agenda. And these are all the points of this big it's a big pot. I suck at explaining these kind of things because I'm trying to keep it short because this is every single of these points deserved an hour video, but I know maybe if I had a bigger channel with a team that helps me, maybe I would do it, but I can't be asked. It's not my job. This is just for my mental sanity, really. So I hope it makes sense, my rambling, and see you next time.